Get started. So thanks everyone for joining us. I love to see the Christmas sweaters people are wearing. So if you do want to turn your video on and share, please do. All looking pretty fantastic, getting in the holiday spirit, which I like to see. My name is Nick Lombucco. I am the STAR coordinator working for the Illinois Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts. And we'll get people another second to get in here. And I'll kick this off. Wait, it says my polling session is inactive. Makes zero sense. You're logged in from a different device. This worked. All right. Grant, is it because we're sharing accounts? Is that what's going on, you think?
I can pull up the polls and see it. Oh, here, let me click launch polling.
Yeah. Is that what's going on? Is there some conflict with this?
There it is.
There you go.
Okay. Wow. All right. You're going to have to run the poll then. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Again, Nick Lombucco, STAR coordinator with the AISWCD. To get us all in the Christmas spirit and get going here, I just want to start off with a little Christmas poll. So just your preference on the holidays. So whoever has access to that poll, go ahead and launch it if you can. I think that's you, Grant. You're going to have to help me out.
It should be up. I can see it on my screen.
All right.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
can see the poll?
Yeah.
People are
We'll give them
people are
30
answering.
seconds to answer it. First one's about your favorite Christmas movie. I try to get a good selection of comedies, classics, some romantic comedies in there. Next question is your preference on eggnog. Is it delicious or totally gross? And then, do you want a white Christmas this year? Do you want snow over the holidays? And the last is not a Christmas question per se, but I just want to know your familiarity with STAR, if you're with a STAR County partner or not. So go ahead and give you another about 15 seconds to answer that, and we're going ahead and close the polls. So I don't know, Grant or Aaron may have to do that for me. I don't know why I can't even see the poll, which is legit. I really want to see those results. So, all right. Yeah, not everyone can see the polls. I don't know what's up with that. So go ahead and close them, and whoever can see the results, tell me what they are. That'd be helpful.
Want me to go ahead and end the poll?
Yeah, end the poll and go ahead and publish them.
Can you see the results, Nick?
No, I can't see anything. I can't see my own poll. All right, what's everyone's favorite movie?
Favorite movie is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
All right, that might be my favorite movie. I'm a simple man and love silly movies, so I love those silly comedies. What about the eggnog?
Eggnog, 56% said and 44% said yuck.
Divisive. I liked it, then didn't like it, and then I had homemade eggnog, and that was a lot better.
Game changer.
And then White Christmas.
Are you wishing for a white Christmas? 85% said bring on the snow, 15% bah humbug. Too cold.
15% Scrooges out there. Well, I'm from Michigan, born and raised, so I love snow this time of year. I love it for about 2 months, and then I'm over it and wanting spring, but spring's always still 2 more months away. So, all right, and then STAR.
Oh, sorry, I closed it out.
That's okay. We'll just go ahead and get
majority
started.
of folks are STAR licensees.
How
but
many?
we have a few that are non-licensees.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. Sweet. I think everyone is seeing my agenda. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So we'll give you a quick intro and update about STAR, dive into the pilot programs, a little how-to about the field forms, talk about the economics of conservation. That's where we're going to kick it over to our PCM specialist, Clay Best. Then stop panel time. Let's get the panel fired up and then a little Q&A. So a quick overview of STAR, which is of course Saving Tomorrow's Agriculture Resource. It's a system that evaluates nutrient and soil loss practices. So it not only evaluates them through our ranking system, but promotes practices that support conservation and soil health. So it's an evaluation. And why is STAR? Frankly, it's because demand for conservation is growing. Whether it's from, the impacts in the Gulf of Mexico, Lake Erie, or even the Des Moines lawsuit and the nitrates there. It's the runoff from ag lands that need to be addressed. So I think the threat of regulation and lawsuits are just going to be, persistent in the near future here. Not only that, there's demand from the supply chain sector as consumers are demanding more sustainability from their fuel, from their fiber, from their food. And that's starting to work its way through the supply chain and finally starting to come to the farmers who are getting some support to get improved environmental outcomes. So there's a need to kind of track that and kind of document the practices that farmers are doing to record those outcomes. And STAR does this through collaboration. We work with our STAR partner counties, and they're licensed through the Champaign Soil and Water Conservation District. They help farmers with the voluntary evaluation field form that kind of, for different practices, the field form assigns points. Those points add up to different STAR rankings on a 1 through 5. And then we verify those field forms through a spot verification process and then provide some recognition, whether that's through email, e-news, or these signs we have. We have our STAR signs. Anyone that does an evaluation can get a free STAR sign on their fields, kind of showing off what they're doing to protect soil and water resources. We'd love to see more signs out there and just see communities take pride in the good work that they're doing. STAR is a new program, but fast growing. We're now in 70 plus counties. We just finished, or be just finishing, collecting data for our 3rd crop year. And we got interest in other states, MOUs with Iowa, Missouri, Colorado, and then now interest with Ohio and South Dakota, as well as some counties in Indiana have been participating. So after we collect our data, we do a STAR report. So our 2019 report is out, and I think we'll post the link to that in the chat. But you can see the distribution of STAR fields here, kind of a normal distribution, a lot of 3-star farms, which is not that surprising, and a decent amount of 4 and 5. And I think farmers that sign up for programs like these or these type of initiatives are naturally conservation minded. So it's probably going to skew to the 4 and 5 range. As we hope to reach those kind of middle adopting farmers, we hope to get more 1 and 2 fields and farmers and kind of move them down that line. So a lot of people end up asking, what makes a 4 and 5-star farmer? And this year is the first year we'll be able to kind of crunch that data, and a lot of no-till and strip-till adoption and a lot of cover crops, particularly I think over 50% adoption of winter hardy cover crops at the 4 and 5-star level, as well as at this point they have pretty good sound nutrient management approaches. So, during those reports, we can get an evaluation of the different practices, but we also want to kind of evaluate the environmental outcomes, because we think that's where the rubber is going to meet the road as the supply chain initiatives and other ecosystem market stuff start wanting to know what are the environmental outcomes. And through this last year alone, we've avoided the loss of 1,500 pounds of phosphorus and about over 100,000 pounds of nitrogen of avoided loss from practices in the STAR program. And we think there's a lot of great advantages of the STAR program. It's a grassroots program started in Champaign County, so kind of grew bottom up with a really great group of stakeholders. Conservation districts, obviously, local farmers, our academic institutions, agribusiness folks, commodity folks. They all had a say on what are the resource concerns we want to address, what are the practices can help us address that. And again, the conservation districts are very critical in this, not only to offer that feedback, but they also are the boots on the ground folks that they know the farmers, they know the resource concerns, they know what will and might not work. And they're the reason I think we are have this potential to grow so quickly is because, you know, every state, every county has a county conservation district, and it can really scale up this program quite fast. And, you know, from the district standpoint, we think it's a great way to help start quantifying conservation improvements, especially for those people that maybe are more hesitant on the federal cost share programs, and they can be hesitant for all sorts of legitimate reasons. But you know, you can't improve what you can't measure. So it's a way to start that conversation, maybe just get that first field evaluated, see where you are, and hopefully down the line we can start comparing what Farmer Joe is doing to the county average or the state average and the national average, and use that natural competition, the competitive spirit farmers have to kind of drive participation and drive improvement. And there's a recognition factor here. I think a lot of conservation organizations don't do a very good job of promoting themselves and the work they were doing. And I think this is a great innovative program that we can take to our state legislators and say, you know, this is what the districts are doing. It's kind of something creative, it's innovative, in addition to what we've been doing for the last 5, 10, 15 years. And you need to support that. You need to support us in that. So I think it can help not just Illinois, which desperately needs it because of our state budgets, but help us on a national scene as well. So, you know, the way these work, again, we have Champaign County partners up the other counties to be STAR licensed partners. And then that county kinds of assign a point person to be familiar with STAR, be familiar with the evaluation tool, and work with farmers on that. And again, we hope it is a tool to start the conservation discussion. And really the win-wins are is when we find something in the STAR tool that can bring people into the district for the other services. So let's say a filter strip will end up helping a farmer improve their STAR rating, and maybe the county can sell the seed for that filter strip. Or maybe they need an improved fertilizer application plan, and you can help them with the nutrient management plan. So I'm gonna be working this year to find those win-wins for all of us, for the farmers, for the districts, and for STAR. And one of those that we can establish real value right now is through our new pilot incentive projects we have going. This one's with American Farmland Trust, and it gives you incentive payments to increase your STAR rating, whether that's 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so on. And right now, we got those payments at $10 to $25 per acre, depending on the increase. Now we're looking for improvements from 2019 to 20, and then 20 to 21. So it's absolutely vital that we get our 2020 field forms in for this year, for the 2020 crop year, and those are going to be due end of January. So we only got really 1 month to get that done and get people signed up. But you know, the evaluation forms don't take that long, and you know, there's other programs like this coming down the pipe. So I think it's a really awesome program and benefit that can get value to farmers pretty quickly here. So I want to take just a little minute here to talk about the field forms and how those work. You know, you go to the STAR free tool, there's 3 ways to do this. 2 of them are PDFs, whether they are fillable or printable. Farmers will download those, submit those to the county reviewer that's assigned. They will review, rank, and send them through STAR. The other way to do this is through the STAR PCM portal, which is, I think, a little bit easier. So the farmer will log in. This is a STAR portal hosted on PCM's website. With an email, they can register. They can find their farm on the map with the CLU layer, assign the crop rotations. They can answer the questions on the evaluation form and hit submit. And then the county reviewer will be automatically notified of that submittal. They can approve it, and then it's automatically ranked and automatically sent to STAR. So you don't have to do any additional rankings or any other submittal. So it might be the easier way to go, especially if you get a PDF form. I would just enter that data in STAR or in PCM portal myself and then submit it instead of doing do extra steps. But that's just a quick overview I have for now. This is some online resources we have. The most important is probably the starfreetool.com. Then we have our social media sites as well. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Clay if he's ready to go and give over control there.
Sir, thanks, Nick. I'll pull up my presentation here. Okay, everybody able to see that? Is that full screen now?
Yeah, it's full screen. Good to go.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, just appreciate this, letting me hop on and go over some of our data with the Precision Conservation Management Program. And you mentioned the PCM portal. So all the data that I'm going to talk about today was entered into that portal by PCM farmers. And we'll take a look at those numbers here. Got over 300 farmers in the program across 15 counties. Those represent over 300,000 acres now. So hopefully you've at least heard of us. Like you see there, only 15 counties, so we're not everywhere, but we do have expansion upcoming in 2021, so looking forward to that. And what we're doing is collecting actual agronomic data from the farmer, what they're doing crop-wise, each pass through the field, collecting rates and products of their fertilizer and pesticides, and then matching that actual agronomic data with the economic data from Farm Business Farm Management and from the University of Illinois. So we're not receipt-based, but we're very confident with our numbers based on those two organizations. And what we do with that data is we aggregate it and anonymize it to produce reports, both at a very high level, which I'll go over in the next few slides, and on an individual basis for us, our job to help a farmer implement conservation with that economic understanding. First slide looking at here is amount of nitrogen applied. And so this chart you see, 2019 corn on highly productive soils. So we break fields down, you're either highly productive soil or low productive soil. We're just looking at high here. And we're looking at the timing of nitrogen applications, broken down from fall applied, mostly pre-plant, mostly side dress, and 50-50 pre-plant side dress. And we're also taking a look at the nitrogen use efficiency here. NUE, the number that used to be 1.2, saying apply 1.2 pounds of nitrogen to every bushel of corn you plan on producing. Well, that number is fairly old now. We're seeing that be the case here. Outdated. The farmers that are being more efficient with their nitrogen are the ones that are making a better dollar, right? So in the blue bars here represent farmers that are less than 0.85. I just mentioned that 1.2 number. These farmers are below 0.85 on their nitrogen use efficiency. Then red you see is from that 0.85 number up to 1. And that's really what us specialists with the PCM program are going out to our farmers talking about, trying to get that number to a 1, to where if a field has averaged 220 bushel of corn for the last so many years, then maybe that's the total amount of nitrogen we should be thinking about applying to that field, because that's what you're going to get out of it. I've got a note down there at the bottom for the University of Illinois' maximum return to nitrogen, that MRTN rate, that at one point even I called very conservative, and but since then, with PCM numbers and PCM data, that 177 pounds per acre recommendation from the U of I is paying off for the farmers that are in that range applying that. Next slide, also looking at nitrogen. Here we're looking at a total nitrogen rate. On the left, we have the groups of farmers of where their total nitrogen rate falls in. You're always going to see yields on these charts, and yes, we do consider yields, but we're only considering yields because there's some money involved there, and we're trying to figure out what the bottom line is, right? So we have to consider the yields, but that number on the far right of this chart is what's going to keep farmers in business, and if it makes sense for conservation, that's what's going to push the needle for agriculture in general with conservation. So taking a look at that on the far right, here shows that the range of 151 pounds to 175 from 2015 to 2019 has been the best range economically for PCM farmers. You see number of fields there. You see this SPR, which is soil productivity rating. That's the average 140. 144 is max, just to give you an idea of where that range ends. And just again, speaking to yields, even though that 151 to 175 had the best return, you see it there. It's actually the 4th out of 5 best yield. So we probably don't have any farmers going to the coffee shop to talk about what their returns were and that they returned better than their neighbor did, but that's what's going to keep them in business. So just all trying to get over the yield factor in this here. Then I think final slide I have here for nitrogen, maybe one more, it looks like actually, maybe this is it. This is back to timing. So at the top, we're breaking it down by if a farmer applies more than 40% of their nitrogen in the fall, they're on that first column. Or if they're a mostly pre-plant farmer, side dress 50-50. Three-way split is some in the fall, but a majority in the either in the spring or in season applications. And just highlight a couple of numbers here so that way we don't have to go through this whole thing. But bottom line, 2015 to 2019 data shows that mostly pre-plant nitrogen farmers had the best return out of any category, and farmers that applied more than 40% of the nitrogen in the fall were by far the least profitable farmers out of PCM growers. So that's really been our biggest home run when we're speaking with growers, and plenty of farmers have moved away from that. And I had a couple of farmers a year ago that were happy they got it done with in the fall, logistic wise. And then after seeing these numbers and even their own experience, they've decided they told me they're never going to put a drop of nitrogen on in the fall again. So that's what we're trying to do. Give them the data and the numbers to be confident in those changes. Now we'll look at tillage ahead of corn and circle a couple of numbers again. And at the top, you see what categories a farmer can fall in, from no-till to three or more passes of tillage. Numbers I'm highlighting here are the 2-pass light system, which could be 2 cultivator passes, 2 vertical till trips. Both of those would fall into that category. And in this chart, not by much, the 1-pass light is pretty close as well, but by $3 per acre, that 2-pass light system had the best return for tillage. Another, not disclaimer, but just a note about all these numbers here. These are all across the state, right? So in my region, East Central Illinois, where I'm covering 6 counties, the strip till has actually been the best tillage system ahead of corn. So it does vary. And strip till is what, 4th here. But the glaring thing here, I guess, is the farmers who are making 3 or more passes of tillage, $20 below 200 per acre. So again, these numbers have been very easy to show farmers, and it shouldn't be a surprise to me how easy it is to have these conversations with farmers when the numbers are this evident. Next slide here is looking at tillage ahead of soybeans, and a couple things to point out here. Again, we're looking at different categories for tillage. This is once again on highly productive soils for soybeans, and this is the most profitable soybeans. So this isn't every soybean field in the PCM program. This is kind of that upper tier of most profitable soybeans, the 20% most profitable soybeans. And what this chart is showing us here is that a majority of those most profitable soybeans were no-till. I'm taking that away from this, and I'm also taking away the fact that the red bar on most of these categories is the winner. And what that's indicating is that moderate spending within the direct cost is maybe a range a farmer should be shooting for, that $124 to $163 per acre. And you see I've got the direct cost listed there, what I'm talking about with trying to get within that range. So how much a farmer is spending on their fertilizer, pesticides, their seed, their drying, storage, and their crop insurance. And then just a bit more background on PCM and how we're an Illinois corn grower program. This data here, it's useful, right? But just kind of throwing that to a farmer and giving them to look at probably wouldn't do anybody very good. So we've actually got PCM specialists that are on the ground, sitting across the kitchen table with the farmer to go through that data and to help them enroll in programs, to help click the button to submit their STAR form so we can get them a rating on their field page within their individual report that we develop for them that I talk about on this page. We're about data. We're also about the value. So we're paying farmers the first couple of years to join because it's going to take a couple of years before we have that trend line set to where I can go out and make that recommendation, make that suggestion to change. So that's how we're trying to provide value in the first couple of years. And and to help promote their efforts through the supply chain with partners like PepsiCo, who's offering a cover crop incentive at $10 per acre. So we're just trying to be a spoke in the wheel, I guess you could say. Last couple of things from me are going to talk about cover crops. First, this is ahead of 2019 corn. Again, this is just state data, but you're looking at a table that would be in a farmer's individual report, and you see state up at the top. If this was a farmer's report, their numbers would be in their own column. Maybe it would be to the left of where it says state no cover crop. And I would be coming in here and highlighting, okay, your ground is on highly productive soils. Let's take a look at how you compare to other farmers on highly productive soils. And that's what these marks are here. I'm trying to find any differences. How can we get better? How did your neighbors make cover crops work ahead of corn? And we're breaking it down 3 columns here, from no cover crop to a winter kill species to an overwintering cover crop. And I'm making marks on, a couple things I'll point out here. The winter kill species ahead of corn on highly productive soils actually increased the yield just by 2 bushels. So nothing drastic, right? But just something to note there for conversation with farmers. And then just running down the list of comparisons down to the bottom line, where in 2019, cover crop ahead of corn didn't do so hot, and numbers aren't anything to take home. $28 per acre less with a cover crop than without. So now what do we do with that number, right? Well, if we can get them into programs, if we can get them some cost share, if Illinois Corn can go out to DC and lobby for any type of program, or just in general, hey, our farmers are losing money by planting cover crops, let's hold off on regulation. Those are the discussions that PCM's also having with our data. And the final set of data I've got here is cover crop ahead of soybean, where on low productive soils across the state, yield stayed the same, and the bottom line was $36 per acre off, so $36 less with a cover crop. And you see there, I've again gone through and made marks on where there's the largest differences, and that starts the conversation about, okay, what can we do to make that cover crop work? Last slide there. We're getting close to 400 farmers within PCM, expanding to a new 5-county region in Southwest Illinois, hoping for 3 other regions to come on board in the next year. So a lot of exciting stuff with PCM, and it's been fun so far. Contact info there if anybody would like to reach out. I'm available. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Clay. That's great. And I'd like to mention that, through your work, you've sent a lot of people over to STAR, so we're deeply appreciative on that. And yeah, even if the numbers for certain practices don't work, it's good to know that. So farmers then have an idea, like, all right, what are the program values I need to make this work on my farm? And like you said, we can take that to whether it's state cost share, public cost share, or these kind of ecosystem market supply chain initiatives. So they know the gaps to fill in to get changes in behavior. So that's fantastic. Thanks again. So let's see, I will share my screen one more time here. And we'll go ahead and click off the panel discussion. So I guess if all the panel members can unmute themselves, that would be great. And Trying to get over to where I need to go. Oops. Get out of here. All right. All right. We see we're all here. Chris, Mitchell, Emily, Corey, checking in.
Yep.
Yep, still here.
All right. Well, thanks you. So I got a list of questions I'm going to ask. If people in the audience have questions as we discuss this, go to enter them in the chat, and Aaron will highlight a few of them that we can ask when their discussions are over. So I think Mitchell, we'll start with you. Do you prefer Mitch or Mitchell?
Mitchell's fine, thanks.
Mitchell, all right, good to know. And I believe you're a resource conservationist with Vermilion County, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I've been here about 5 years now.
All right, good to hear. And I believe the picture we have is when your county was recognized for being a star partner, I guess is what we'll call it.
Yeah, that's correct. I actually have that box you see there. We were awarded this. That's myself, my counterpart, Lisa Lee, and our board of directors. So we were thrilled to receive that as the 2019 Partner of the Year award.
Well, that's awesome. That was before my time. Should have cropped that out. That was my bad.
Not a problem.
Congratulations on that. Question we have for you, since you guys have so much experience with STAR compared to some counties, is how has STAR helped you connect with and show the value of conservation to your farmers?
Yeah, so yep, we started in Vermilion County with the STAR program in 2018, and in the past couple of years, we've seen significant improvement and increase in overall participation. So we're hoping to keep that trend moving forward. I'd say with the STAR program, we've been able to implement that in some unique ways to kind of develop new connections and strengthen ones with existing producers that we have here. So for example, the way we're kind of able to incorporate it into something is there's a Gordyville Ag Expo every year. It's a major event, and we share a booth with the Champaign Soil and Water District. So this past year, it's held in January. We promoted the STAR program pretty heavily there. We thought it was a great opportunity because we did see dozens of farmers that we've worked with in the past. And so since we already had that relationship with them, you know, they were able to come over and kind of listen to us and help her and let us explain that program to them. And so, yeah, that was just kind of one way we were able to do something that's already been established here in our district. And then another great asset we've had, you just heard from him, is Clay Bess with PCM. So having him have each of his producers fill out field forms really helped boost our numbers in the county. And that's where we were able to kind of interact and develop new relationships with farmers that we hadn't previously. So it's it's been a good blend of existing and new so far.
Okay, so it sounds like PCM has been a big part in your county as well. Any unexpected value or bonus that you're seeing that maybe didn't see before when using STAR and working with your farmer clients?
I guess just overall, just, you know, the value of getting these new producers and new clients in our door here and establishing that relationship. So not only, you know, through partnerships like PCM, but we've also been able to open the conversation to, you know, other financial assistance programs that we have already, such as the Partners for Conservation through IDOA. So we thought it was a great move to have, starting in fiscal year 20, have everybody that is participated in that PFC program to fill out the STAR form, because we had already you know, been trying to make that connection and incorporate those two so far. So I think, sorry, I've got some notes here. Being able to look at the STAR form, and how like succinct it is, and being able to identify what particular resource concerns the producer might want to improve on is a good transition into talking about those financial assistance programs. So the other thing that's been great is we've had Carter Morgan, who has been, he's been contracted through the Nature Conservancy. For those that don't know, he's been a great asset because he's got ground both in Vermilion and counties in Indiana. So he's been basically starting these roundtable sort of discussions for farmers who have like-minded conservation goals. And so just being able to have someone who's experienced and done the trial and error kind of lead the way. We had him speak at an informational meeting for STAR that we did in January as well. So just kind of having all of those partnerships has really helped to keep the conversation going and keep new people interested in STAR as well as the other programs we have to offer in our office.
Yeah, that's great. I look forward. I haven't met Carter yet, but I hope to. And yeah, I would like to remind everyone that through Partners for Conservation, this Illinois Department of Ag program, they need to fill out STAR forms to participate in that. So that's kind of another way we're getting our foot in the door. You mentioned some good promotion stuff. I would like to switch this over to Emily. You are another resource conservationist with the Kankakee SWCD. And how are you planning to provide either education or promotion in your county this winter?
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, so we signed on with STAR in March of 2019. So we're fairly new. We're coming at this from a very kind of fresh and new perspective. Thankfully, we have a really strong board and our chairman is very involved in the promotion of STAR, and he was on like the marketing committee and has even contacted larger corporations to start pilot programs. And so it's been really helpful having him also be an advocate for STAR in our county. But kind of from a perspective of being new to STAR, we this year are going to be doing a STAR raffle for our farmers and landowners. And I think this is, our goal with this is more to just get STAR out there and to allow people to just learn a little bit more about it, maybe fill out a field form. And like you said, kind of just start from that ground, like that step one, in just evaluating where they are and then potentially identifying like what their next steps could be in order to get 1 or 2 more stars to their STAR rating. And so if anybody's interested in kind of seeing how we're setting up our STAR raffle, you can check out our website, KankakeeCountySWCD.org/STAR. And then I kind of lay out what we're doing there. But pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to promote this through Facebook, local papers, radio, mailing lists, and our partner networks. Of course, it's a little bit difficult now because we're starting this up during COVID. And so we don't have a lot of people coming through. Well, we don't have any people coming through the office. Typically, we might even rely a little bit on FSA across the hall to get some interest in things that we're doing. So we're going to try and do a little bit more virtual promotion and through things like that. And so each field form that our farmers or landowners fill out in Kankakee County it's going to count as 1 entry into our STAR raffle. Also, we have reached out to some local businesses with letters and phone calls, and people have been supportive, and we've gotten some great donations from our sponsors to put together raffle baskets. Our board has also been gracious enough to give me a small budget to supplement that as well. And so we're going to be promoting this raffle, and then we're going to be announcing or collecting all of these field forms, helping farmers, following up with them as well to kind of continue the conversation even after this. And so really what we find is, you guys know, it's just very hard to reach middle or late adopters. And so we're just trying to get creative, especially during this time with COVID, and trying to find new ways to get the word out. And so we do realize that our STAR raffle in itself isn't a long-term like solution or really a long-term way. to get people into conservation, but we do think it's a good starting step or a stepping stone.
Indeed, yeah, good way to get your foot in the door, get the word out, and drive some interest. And yeah, and thanks for sharing that you shared this with us earlier. And if anyone else has ideas like that and they need help from us, please let us know, and we can try to support you as we can, and we can take those ideas and share them with other districts. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think we'll bump it over to Corey. Corey Zellhart, farm manager and real estate broker at Busey Bank. I believe you're outside of the greater Decatur area. So feel free to just touch on a little bit what you do there. And question for you, I guess, is as a farm manager, I know you're kind of new to Star, but how has Star brought, or how do you see it adding more value to your clients, either as landowners or as tenants?
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Nick. I appreciate you inviting me to be a part of this panel. I guess if I just had to make kind of a general statement with regards to landowners that we're working with, it seems like in a lot of instances we're having the opportunity more and more often to work with folks that are becoming more conservation minded. And I think that's really great to see. It shows that people who are taking ownership in farmland, but maybe one or more generations actually removed from the farm are paying attention and are taking interest. And I think that's really important for the future of our industry. And from what I've seen in my experience working with STAR so far, I think it's a great quantifiable approach to show landowners specifically what is or what can be done to improve their valuable assets. Specifically the farmland. I've had the opportunity to work with Greg and Steve Steerwalt on some managed acreage in Champaign County, basically from the moment I started here with Busey about 10 years ago. And it was Greg and Steve that kind of introduced me to the STAR program. The particular farm that I work with them on is the Hunt Farm, and that is a STAR certified farm. And that account actually has 15 different beneficiaries on it, with scattered all over the United States, varying levels of interest and activity in that particular farm. But one thing I know is that a lot of those owners are proud of the STAR recognition that they have. And it's a great way to really bring some of the major issues that they might be hearing about in the news or reading about into something a little bit more tangible for them, because they know it's being addressed on their farm specifically. And it really brings another level of connectability between landowners, tenants, and the farm itself.
Well, that is fantastic. Encouraging to see that maybe generations removed are starting to regain interest. I hope that comes more full circle on what's going on with their family's legacy of farm ownership. I think that'd be great for us here in the Midwest. And then we'll bump over to Chris Reynolds here. He's the Midwest Director for American Farmland Trust. He's also a former RC with Montgomery County. So a lot of history here in Illinois and some interesting perspectives. So thanks for joining us, Chris. And I guess the question I have for you, do you see with the larger community, even if not ag, can find value in STAR, or what's another way for STAR to bring value, I guess, to either ag or soil and water conservation districts, or even the greater public?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick. I think it's a great question. And, I think early on when we first started getting involved with STAR, we saw that there was this huge amount of potential from a lot of different directions. And so it's really been exciting to be a part of the program the last couple of years, and to get more involved. My Midwest Science Director, Dr. Emily Bruner, has done a lot of work with the Science Committee, and a lot of those slides that you worked on with some outcomes-based information, that as a result of utilizing the data from these farmers and showcasing the environmental benefits that are available from farmers that are adopting these practices. And so, I think, what we are going to see over the next few years is the potential shift from funding that is being allocated towards acres or practice-based to more of an outcomes-based funding structure, both potentially on the state and federal levels. And I think so it's important that we have some type of tool like STAR that we can utilize in order to prioritize practices, prioritize fields, so that we can show these outcomes related benefits. I think one of the ways that the conservation districts can utilize the STAR program, and we saw this, early on as a former conservation planner myself, realizing the benefit of this tool as a way to start that conversation with those farmers, taking inventory of what they're currently doing, but also talking with them about practices they might be interested in adding to their operation. So it's a great conservation planning tool. I think the conservation districts have a great opportunity here to also use it as a prioritization tool. So the conservation districts can provide some additional points for the Partners for Conservation program, and so there's the potential there to use the STAR farmers. We know the Department of Ag is already requiring the STAR field forms to be completed, but as we start to get more farmers completing those forms, how can we better utilize them? That's part of our STAR incentive program as well, is that we want to see those farmers that are in that 1 to 3 star range move up the ladder. And I think we can do that on several different levels. We can do that through the PFC cost share funding. The great thing about that is it also helps prioritize the in-field management practices. And I think there's a real need for us to focus on those practices themselves, the nutrient management, the cover crops, the conservation tillage practices that the field form really gets at. Dr. Emily Bruner did a great job of really tying the field form back to the nutrient loss reduction strategy, providing more points for the practices that have a greater environmental impact and reducing nutrient losses, on that particular field. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there. I'm hoping to work with some of the conservation districts this next year and providing maybe some framework for how they could potentially use this as a prioritization tool within their conservation district. And I think just looking at the picture overall, we know that funding is really going to be tight next year. It's going to be tough, and so we have to do a better job of telling our story. I know I've been hearing that for the last 20 years, but it's never, it seems like it's more true every year. And we have to do a better job with showing the data. And I think when we can shift to showing the outcomes from these practices, that we will get more legislators behind us, more agency officials behind us as well. And also the biggest thing here, this program was really born out of the nutrient loss reduction strategy and water quality. But guess what? These practices, they have huge climate potential as well, benefits. And so, we're taking that story to legislators as well. We want to make sure that they understand that there's this huge opportunity out there all across Illinois where farmers can be a part of the solution for water quality improvements as well as climate.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. A lot of the, even through the supply chain sustainability demands, a lot of that has been driven by climate. And while the non-point source stuff is what motivated this, STAR, I think, can help capture those outcomes and kind of marry those two. So thanks so much. So I want to leave the next 5 minutes for the audience to ask any questions that have been on their minds to the panel. So I don't think the chat's been very active. So if you just want to even say something directly, I think you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Or can you raise your hand? Maybe that'd be better. But yeah, if you have questions. All right, I see Grant. Nice first one up, so go for it.
Thanks, Nick. I'd be interested if anyone on here who is not a STAR licensee, if they'd be willing to share with us maybe why they're not. I'd just be curious to learn what barriers out there exist. See if we get any takers. If not, we can move along.
No takers so far.
Grant-
I know some boards haven't been meeting and, but,
Grant,
yeah.
I can just, I can tell you what I hear sometimes across the state. I mean, I think you know this as well as anybody, but it's, staff capacity at that county level. I think sometimes obviously the staff's spread pretty thin as it is, and so adding, something else to their plate is often a challenge. So
Sure.
I think that is a barrier, that we have to get through in promoting the program. I think the biggest thing is showing them the benefits of the program and how it can actually, make the work a little bit easier. As I talked about, the conservation planning, it provides a little bit simpler way to do some of that, have some of those initial conversations with landowners and farmers.
Absolutely.
All right.
And I just want to note everyone how hard it is to talk and take myself seriously wearing this hat. But thank you for humoring me today.
I guess if no more questions from the audience. One I would like to see, and maybe this is relevant for anyone who wants to take a crack at it on the panel. Do you see or are your farmers in your community reacting to the increasing interest in programs that are trying to support improved environmental outcomes, whether it's Indigo Ag or environmental ecosystem service market collaboration or any of those? Is that starting to hit on the radar of the farming community? And if so, kind of what are their thoughts on it? And how deep dive, just kind of what's the word on the street with that? Does anyone have any insights to that?
Yeah, I can share, Nick. We a couple months ago we produced the carbon farming fact sheet through the Sustainable Ag Partnership, because we started to see that there was a lot, farmers were getting hit with a lot of information about some of these carbon markets, and there was a lot of confusion out there. What are these contracts? What are they paying for? How much can I get? So I definitely think farmers are trying to learn more about some of those opportunities that are out there. We'll be hosting a ecosystems market forum in February for farmers, and we actually have Indigo, NORI, ESMC, Soil and Water Outcomes Fund that will all be part of a panel discussion, and we are encouraging farmers to attend that webinar and hopefully ask questions about those individual market-based programs.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm sure we'll help promote that. I know I'm interested in joining, and hopefully we can get some hard-hitting questions and some good answers from those, because there's a lot of questions about that. The rest of the panel, we got 2 minutes left. Anything you guys would like to say before I wrap it up here? Anyone from the audience? Let's see. Let me scroll over to chat here. See, we have. Yep. Okay, I think Aaron. All right. I guess with that, let me thank our panel, Chris, Mitchell, Emily, Corey. Thanks so much for your insights and for your help with this. And I'm just going to go ahead and yeah, if anyone has any more questions that they think of later, didn't want to ask now, you can email me at my email address. There's also the star address in the bottom left here. And then, of course, our Star Free tool is the main website. And if you are a star, part of a county star partner, you do have access to our box site, which has more resources, including outreach materials, agreements, and what am I thinking? And yeah, I can't think of all the resources on there now, but if you're not plugged into that box site, we can make sure you have access. And kind of building on what Chris said about, that ecosystem service market kind of Q&A session, We also hope to be continuing our continuing education series. We're looking into maybe doing like a brown bag lunch where we can talk about STAR, whether it's the pilot programs or maybe new stuff out of PCM or anything related with conservation. Maybe kick that off in the winter during these slower months in January and February. And then another announcement that I have is I want you guys to stay tuned for our Conservation District Star Wars competition. So we'll get sued by putting that Z in there. But we're going to be hosting a competition for the districts in January. So districts that are star partners, the district that has the greatest new signups for fields in that month will get an awesome swag bag with us. I've heard that the district employees here in Illinois are highly motivated individuals, especially when there's alcohol on the line. So we got some cool some cool swag from some local distilleries and breweries, as well as some other great items. So the winner of that will get that for their district office to do what they want with it. So please stay tuned to that. We'll have a announcement soon. Have some fun with some Star Wars memes, and hopefully have a good competition. And then the last housekeeping, Adam, bring it on. All right, Emily, I see where you're at. I'm watching the chat here. We will post this on this whole webinar on the AISWCD website, and all the links that we posted here, I'll probably try to include as well, somehow tag in with that. So with that, we got just a few minutes left. If there's any questions, any last comments, speak now or hold your peace. Well, I'm not hearing anything, so I would like to take this time to give thanks to our panel, to Clay, and all the great people who work behind the scenes to hopefully make me look good. They were very helpful, and STAR has a lot of great partners that make this thing happen. So I hope you guys found this useful, and stay tuned. When this is posted online, I'll send a follow-up email to make sure everyone can get the link. So with that, I'll give you a whole 3 minutes back to your day. So do that with what you will.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Hopefully you can spend some time with friends and family and watch some good old watch some Chevy Chase.
Christmas Story. You forgot the Christmas Story as a choice. Come on, Nick.
Are you serious? I didn't put it.
No, that's the one I always watch twice.
All right.
Bruce was in it.
Well,
That's
dial
right.
into TBS and get your fill. Or I think they're doing the 24. They're still doing the 24-hour, 27 days
The
a week.
Muppets Christmas Carol is on Disney Plus.
Oh, there you go.
That's a good one too.
Hey,
Hi, guys.
I had to give Nick some grief because I told him he should put Die Hard with Bruce Willis as one of the choices there.
That should have been. Yes, it should. Yeah.
See, I knew can't make an all-encompassing list, but those are good.
You did fine. Good job.
Ideas.
Good job.
Nice job.
So, all right. Well,
Thanks
thanks
to all.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Nick.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you, Nick.
Happy New Year.
And hopefully sometime this summer I get to meet someone in person.
Yeah, really.
But all remotely. So hopefully we get this past us and get to a little bit more normal existence. Stop that share. All right. Mel, I like your shirt. Can I see your shirt real quick? what's it say?
Hey, there you go.
It says Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas. That's funny. I do like that.
Well done.
All right. Okay. All right. See you, everyone. Have a good one.
Take care.